Hello, my name is Jessica. Thank you for joining me. So in our practice today, we're going to need 2 blocks and a blanket. And we're going to do our practice today working really with being present to what is. There are times in our lives, or at least I can speak for myself, where something comes up and it causes fear or anxiety or worry, doubt, or any of those less than pleasant emotions. And in NVC land, that indicates that a particular need that we have isn't being met. And if we can approach things from that vantage point, that our feelings, especially the negative ones, are just indicating that there's something important to us that isn't happening right now, a particular need isn't being met, I think, at least for me, it gives a little bit more optimism and a little bit more hope. So with that being said, we're going to do some things today to really just start to mobilize the joints, work with the joints, and see how just doing that, paying attention to the different needs of the body in a given moment, shape, or pose, can help us really attune to those needs a little bit better, so that when something's off, we might have a better idea of how to meet those needs. Cool. So with that being said, we're going to start with just paying attention to our feet. They are our foundation after all. And so if you've got socks on like I do, you might want to take those off at this moment. And you'll just start with your left foot. Take the right hand and weave the hand through the fingers. And the first thing that you'll do is just really clench your toes around your fingers. And then use your fingers to spread your toes, and then squeeze your toes around your fingers, and then widen your toes with your hands. And you'll just do that 2 more times. And you're just really clenching and then spreading. Your mouth doesn't have to do it while you're doing it. Clenching and then spreading, and then clench it once more. Hold on to your fingers with your toes and create about 3 to 5 ankle circles. And as best as you can, the movement's not coming from your hand, but it's coming more through the ankle. After you've gone one way 3 to 5 times, you'll switch directions and go together. So we're just trying to wake up the soles of our feet. They sometimes can get a little cranky, and for me at least, it feels like that happens when the feet aren't being properly used. So from there, you can release that and just give your feet a little bit of rubbing. I like to press in the middle of the foot, straight down the middle, and on the outside edge near my pinky toe, but you do whatever feels good for you. And then you might just wiggle your heel a little bit, so you're holding on to the outer and inner edge of your heel and just shaking it back and forth. And then you can also go up and down, just separate the heel a little bit from the ankle joint. And then you'll make a fist with your right hand and just lovingly pat the sole of your foot. Let's see how that feels. Awesome sauce. Great. When you're done with that, just release the left foot, see what it looks like, what it feels like. You might notice a slight discoloration or change in color between the feet. And then we'll go ahead and switch sides. So left leg, or rather left hand now interleads through the right foot, and you squeeze the toes and then spread the toes. And you'll just do that about 4 times. And you're noticing if there's the ability to really use the dexterity of the feet. There's some people that really can use their feet quite well, meaning they can pick up pens and pencils and things with their feet. I'm not always capable of doing that, but it's something I strive towards. And now this last time, when you squeeze around your fingers, you'll start to take your 3 to 5 circles in one direction. And as best as you can, notice if you start to slump over and sit tall. And after you've gone one direction, go the other. And notice if the hand is doing this more, or if this is more of the ankle doing it, let the ankle do it. And after you balance between those sides, or both directions, you might give the soles of the feet a little bit of a massage. Again, noticing what feels good on this side. And then you might find yourself working towards your heel, holding your heel with your left hand and jiggling it forward and back. And then maybe even separating it up and down, just moving it a little bit, finding space. And it feels like a space of air opens up around the bottom of the heel and the front, but that might just be a me thing. Make a fist with your left hand and lovingly pat the sole of your right foot. sure you're breathing through all of this. Okay. And then go ahead and extend both feet in front of you. And just take a moment to sit tall. You might take a few little shoulder circles here, just noticing how the neck and the shoulders wish to participate. And then we'll make our way to stand. Okay, so for today, as we stand, you might bring your blanket and set it in the middle of your space about halfway back. And then you might have your blocks towards the upper outer corners of your space. And we're just going to start by doing a few little shoulder circles. So your left shoulder will come forward, it'll go up, and it'll go back. And you're just noticing if you can isolate this. So it just happens in the left shoulder. And after you've done 3 of those, you'll bend your left elbow and start to make giant circles with your left elbow. And the left fingers are touching the left shoulder, and you're just creating this giant circle, noticing if the gaze wishes to follow the elbow. After your 3rd one, unfurl your left arm and create giant windmill circles with your left hand. Again, the fingers can lead the way and the gaze can follow the fingers. And after the hand passes the hips, just go ahead and stay there. And we'll go ahead and switch sides, or directions rather. So left shoulder goes back, it goes up, but it comes forward. And you're just doing this 3 times and noticing how the breath feels. Slight bend into your knees. Bend the left elbow and create 3 circles with your elbow. And these are just big gross movements to start to help us warm up the body. Unfurl the left arm. Big circles with the left arm. Awesome sauce. This is your last one. Go ahead and allow the left arm to just dangle down, and then notice if you notice anything different. If the left side feels a little longer, heavier, easier than the right, no worries if not. And then we'll go ahead and try the other side. So 3 circles forward, up, and back with your right shoulder. And we're really trying to just move the shoulder joint. After 3, the elbow gets involved and it makes some circles. And notice that perhaps circles feel a little different, maybe a little bigger. After your 3rd one, the right arm unfurls and you're creating big circles with your right arm, almost like you're doing a back stroke or something. Big back stroke. After the 3rd one, the arm dangles next to the hips, and then you'll switch directions. So going back, up, and forward. And again, slight engagement of the core, slight bend in the knees. So we're just seeing how that goes. After the 3rd, the elbow gets involved. And you're noticing that perhaps that changes what's happening in your shoulder joint. After the 3rd, the right arm unfurls. And now, I don't know, this feels more like a butterfly thing or whatever Michael Phelps is really good at. I think it's called the butterfly. And after you've done 3, you'll go ahead and allow both arms to dangle and just see how that feels. And then we'll start by tipping the left ear over to the left. And then coming up through center and then going over to the right. And you'll just do 2 more like that, keeping the abdomen engaged, keeping a slight bend into the knees so you don't hyperextend through the joints. And just noticing a sense of softness and ease. Some sauce. Come back through center and then tuck your chin into your chest and gaze up towards the sky. You've got 3 sets of these, just looking down and then looking up. Noticing if the weight rocks forward and back as you do this, or if you can isolate this so it's only happening in your head. And then the next time your chin comes to your chest, go ahead and keep it there and look to your left shoulder and then look to your right. And you'll take 3 of these as you gently draw the gaze more along the horizon as you continue to rotate the head on the axis right to left. Awesome sauce. The next time your head comes through center, you'll pause. You'll tuck your chin to your chest and then take about 3 slow circles one way. And you're noticing if you can soften any tension in the arms, soften any tension in the shoulders, and soften any tension in the face. Last time, big circle the head, keeping neck as soft as possible. And after you've done 3 one way, go ahead and switch the other direction. So big circle with the head, almost like you're allowing the body to yawn and to wake up. And as I continue to do this, I notice that my left side to my right side, there's this little snaking pattern that appears on one and didn't appear on the other. And so you're just noticing what you notice. And the next time your gaze comes down, go ahead and pause, bend your knees, pop a squat so your arms rest on the tops of your thighs. And if you'd like, you can separate your feet so they're now wider than hip distance apart. And you'll just take some cows and cats here in the standing position. So this feels pretty funny at times, but you're just doing your little cows and your cats, and you can push down into the floor and see how that affects the pelvic floor. And pull back with the arms and notice where you feel that and the shoulders. And you'll just do 2 more like that. Little happy cats and cows. And the next time you round in, like you're in a peanut butter jar, for some reason, you'll start to create big barrel circles with your ribs, getting all the nooks and crannies of peanut butter. And if you don't like peanut butter, maybe you like Nutella. And so you're a little scooping at all the edges of the Nutella. If that's not something that works for you, maybe you're making cake, but you're scooping at all the sides. After you've done 3 that way, you'll go the other way. You're just observing how the body feels as you're making circles, noticing that maybe the hips are involved at some point, the head are involved at some point. You might even be shifting your weight from right to left, and that's okay. And then the next time you're centered, you'll go ahead and pause. You might release your hands down to the blocks as your head drops down. Feet are still outer hip distance apart, or maybe hands come down to the floor. And then you'll slowly shift your weight right to left, bending one knee and then the other. Well, that's the external shape. I want you to pay attention to the hip sockets, specifically the greater trochanters. Imagine that you're creating a figure 8 that is parallel to the floor. So your hips are going one way, carving out the outer circle, and then they're going the other way, carving out the other outer circle. And your head and your spine are just going along for the ride like, I don't know, seaweed in the ocean. And after you're balanced, you'll come back through center. See if you can remember which direction you went first, and then reverse that. So creating a figure 8 in the opposite direction. And, many a time that might feel a little bit wonky. And that's okay. You're just breathing with it, going with it. Say, hello, wonky body. How are you doing today? And you've got about 1 more. Once you feel balanced between the sides, go ahead and stay there. Walk your feet so they're, outer mat distance apart. Then step your left foot forward to the outside edge of your left hand. Step your right leg long and back, hooray. And now you're in this weird, long, low lunge. Hands are inside of your front foot. If blocks feel like that would be appropriate for you, you go ahead and put your hands on blocks. But you're going to take 4 slow hip circles this side. And you're just noticing, whoa, what does that feel like as I lift my hips, as I bend my front knee, as I reach back for my front foot? Is there tension happening in my jaw and my face as I do this? It's kind of animalistic. And then after you've done 4, you'll go the other direction. It's a fun little wonky dinky donkey little shape. Awesome sauce. So the next time you come forward, hopefully you're balanced between the sides. You're going to pause. I want you to maybe walk your left foot in a little bit. So left knee is over left ankle. Push down through left foot. Push down through right foot. Push down through right hand. And start to unravel the left arm to the left. So now you're in this twisted position and you're pushing down through the limbs on the floor, but lengthening out through your crown, lengthening back through your tail, and leaning back a little bit through your head. And as you're doing this, make sure through the peripheral vision, you can still see your top hand. So I'm looking forward, but I can wiggle my top hand and see my fingers. If I can't see my fingers, I need to bring my hand forward. And then you can rotate from the abdomen to maybe look up. Awesome sauce. Next exhale, lower that hand down. Now you're going to take a giant step forward. So you might want to walk your left foot to the left and like a tiger pouncing, pounce to the top of your space. And now both knees are bent, your head is forward, your butt is back, and it's like you're a footballer getting ready to send a ball back. And then shift the weight to the right leg, send your left leg back, and pause. And just as we did on the other side, you're gonna find the little hip circles, or rather big hip circles, and you're noticing what's happening on this side. I have a torn labrum on one of my legs, so I noticed that there's one side that likes to go one direction a lot more than it does on the other. And so you just pay attention to you and your breathing and your moving and you're noticing what you notice. If you haven't already, go ahead and switch sides, or rather switch directions so that you're evened out. And then you'll go ahead and come to a still neutral spot. You might need to walk your right foot in just a bit, so the right ankle is directly under the right knee. And then you're going to push down through the right foot, push down through your left hand, push down through your left foot, and start to engage the belly as you unwind and roll, or rather twist towards the right. And again, just as we did before, you're pushing into the bottom hand, you're pushing into the front foot, you're reaching back through the back thigh, and the belly is twisting on the right side to roll and wrap towards the right. Nice job. Next big breath, go ahead and lower that hand back down. And at this point, say bye-bye blocks. Bring both hands to the inside edge of your front foot, shift your weight forward and step yourself back. Happy downward facing dog. And now in this down dog, you might grab the outer edges of your mat if you like. You might do none of the above. But you're going to lift up through your happy inner armpits, send your hips high, let the head dangle between the arms, and maybe sway your hips a little right to left, checking with those front ribs, making sure they're not splaying out to the floor. And then gently, you'll come down to hands and knees. Plant your hand underneath your shoulders, and then start to wiggle, or rather walk your fingers out towards the right and to the left until both hands, or rather fingertips, face towards the backs of your knees. Then separate your hands so they're probably a little wider than shoulder distance apart. Tuck both sets of toes under, and then you'll inhale, pull the heels of the hands back to pull the heart forward, spread through the buttocks, drop the belly, lift the gaze, lift the tail. And then exhale, push wide through the thumbs, round through the spine, drop the tail, draw the chin towards your chest. Awesome stuff. And you've got about 4 more of those. So inhaling, pulling the hands back to arch through the spine, reaching the sternum forward, lifting through the ears. And then exhaling, chin to chest, rounding in through your spine. And as you take these last 2 to 3 sets on your own, you're just observing and noticing what you notice. How are we working with the different joints of the body? How are these meeting certain needs or not? And it's all okay. We're just paying attention. Awesome sauce. Next time you come to a neutral spine, turn the hands so that they're the normal orientation, and then you'll slip the back of the left hand to the floor. And from here, you'll just pretend you're a pretty little pony, those really elegant horses that you see the Queen of England riding. Well, not anymore, but she used to. And it's just very elegantly bending its elbow, and you're noticing what's happening on the front of your left forearm. Seeing that, if you go a little bit with the elbow towards your belly button, that gives you one sensation. If you go to the outside edge of your left knee, that gives you another. And you're just feeling what feels good to you. And then release, shake out the hand, and we'll switch sides. Back of the right palm comes to the mat, and then little pretty prancing pony. Seeing how that feels if you go straight back versus a little to the right or a little to the left, and just observing. And then replant your right palm. Draw both knees, ankles, and shins together. Push your butt back towards your heels, and then start to walk your pelvis, or rather your spine on top of your pelvis. Tuck both sets of toes under so that they are good to go. And then you're going to tuck your 4 fingers into your thumb, and like you're flicking water at somebody, you're just going to flick your hands for about, 10 more seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, vigorous, 4, vigorous, 3, vigorous, 2, vigorous, 1. Awesome. Go ahead and shake out the hands. And then you're going to open both arms out to the right and to the left. Draw your thumb towards the pinky finger mound, and then wrap the other 4 fingers around it. As you inhale, reach out through both of the arms, lift up through your spine. Exhale, bend your right elbow behind you, left elbow up. Inhale, open out, and then exhale, other side. So it's almost like we're those little monkeys in a barrel. And inhale, open out. And exhale in. You've got about 4 sets of these. And you're just working to see if both arms can clock at the same rate, meaning like our proprioception is such that both arms can open and arrive out to the side at the same time and arrive behind us at the same time. It's probably not likely to happen. And it comes with practice. And we're just noticing what we notice. Okay, the next time your right arm is down, your left elbow is up, you'll pause. You might either grab your shirt or whatever you can hold. You might grab your fingers. And then you'll pause here, open that right shoulder back, lift the left elbow up and draw the front ribs back as the head leans back. Now your toes are most likely talking to you, and if that's the case, no worries. You can stand tall on your shins, extend the tops of the feet to the floor and sit your pelvis back down, or you can just stand tall on your shins. Totally up to you. Release the hands or the shirt, make a little fist again. Inhale, open the arms up and out. And exhale, other side. So left elbow down, right elbow up. Maybe you grab your shirt, maybe you grab your fingers, but the left elbow continues to draw back so the left shoulder blade opens. So right elbow leans up and draw the front ribs in and back. And you're going to pause and you're going to breathe. You might be needing a relief from toe squat, so you'll gently stand up on your shins and gently release the fingers, make a little fist, open the arms out and come forward onto hands and knees, tops of the feet to the floor. Happy little temper tantrum, maybe patter the toes up and down, yay! Or maybe you don't. I feel like I'm having a little kid moment. And then you might shift your weight back and maybe lift one or both knees up and away from the floor if that feels copacetic for your knees, shins, and ankles. Awesome sauce. All right. From here, we'll go ahead and come forward. I want you to bring your hands underneath your shoulders and try to make sure that the front of your wrists are parallel to the front of your space. Push down into the tips of the fingers and push down into the knuckle pads of the fingers. And then step your right foot back, tuck the toes under, draw the belly in. Step the left foot back, tuck the toes under, draw the belly in. Heart reaches forward, tailbone reaches back, and low belly draws in and up. Great. You're going to bend your knees and start to push your butt back towards your heels as you continue to gaze forward. So it's almost like you're going to pounce forward. Next in breath, come forward back to plank. Now here's our fun little thing. You're going to empty the belly, draw the left knee towards the left shoulder, and plant the left foot outside of the left hand. Hooray, we're back to that whole thing. Now if you'd like the right hand to come onto a block, otherwise it'll stay as it is. Push down into your front foot, push down into your back foot, and lift up through that inner right thigh. Squeeze your right bum, and then start to lengthen your heart and sternum forward. Left hand comes to the outside edge of your left thigh. You can stay there and just pull the belly in, reach the heart and sternum forward, and start to rotate to the left. You might extend your left fingers up and just take a moment to pause and take a moment to breathe. Again, shoulders are out, or rather arms are out, making a 180-degree angle. So my top arm isn't back behind me. If I can't see it through my peripheral vision, it's too far back. Go ahead and lower the left hand inside the left foot. Gaze forward, lift your pelvis a little bit and slide your right, or rather left foot back to your right foot. Great. Next in breath, shift forward. As you exhale, little baby push up. Inhale back into plank. And then exhale, bend your knees again, going back to that little ready pouncing position between down dog and child's pose. Next in breath, come forward, back to plank. And then you'll exhale, scoop the belly, push into the left foot, draw the right knee towards the right shoulder, plant that right foot outside of the right hand. And again, the left hand might come to block, it might stay exactly as it is. But you'll bring your right hand to the outside edge of your right knee. Reach back through your left heel. Lift up through your left inner thigh as you tone your left bum. Now heart reaches forward. Belly draws in on the right side and start to rotate towards the right. You might happily stay there or extend up through your top arm for a revolved low lunge. And again, you're pausing and you're breathing and you're pausing and you're breathing. And on your next in breath, gently unwind. Plant that right foot inside of the right, or rather right hand inside of the right foot. Lift your tail a little. Step the right foot back. Shift your weight forward, lowering back into a chaturanga, hugging the outer shin bones in. Inhale up. And then exhale, downward facing dog. So that was a lot on our arms. If you're like, oh God, Jessica, don't wish to do that again, no worries, I'm right there with you. If you're like, oh God, Jessica, that was awesome, I wish to do it again, all right, no worries, you pause the video, you repeat that sequence one more time, and you join us when you're ready. Awesome sauce. When we are ready, we're going to go ahead and inhale and come forward into plank pose. And you're going to pause here. You're going to push down through both hands, lift up through your inner thighs, and lengthen back through your tail. Now, isometrically pull the hands back to reach the heart forward, bend the elbows, and slowly lower down. Awesome sauce. When you find yourself on your abdomen, go ahead and extend the tops of the feet to the floor. You might need to shift your blanket forward a little bit for you, and that's totally up to you. Then let's bend both of our knees, and we're going to create circles with our feet. So let your feet go to the right. They'll come back behind you towards the floor. They'll go over to your left and then back towards your bum. And you'll just do about 3 of those. And as best as you can the movements happen only in the thigh bones, meaning my hips aren't really shifting away from the floor. It's happening more just in the thigh bone, so I can see what's happening in my low back, paying attention to the needs of my low back. And after you've done 3 one way, you'll slowly go the other way. And again, you're paying attention to what it feels like with that internal and external rotation of the thighs, how that's impacting your knees, how that's impacting your low back. Awesome sauce. Once you've done 3 complete circles, now go ahead and extend both feet back behind you. Separate your feet so they're about hip distance apart. Press into the tops of your toenails, so your big toenails, your pinky toenails. Imagine that there's an arrow coming from your pelvis through your legs, so shoot that arrow back and energize the legs like little bolts of lightning. From there, hands come to this part alongside the ribs. You'll draw your shoulders up towards your ears and draw your shoulder blades onto your back. Notice that you can push down through the hands and isometrically pull them back to start to pull the heart forward. Pause. Lift your head just as enough so it's in line with your shoulders. Now from there, you'll pull the hands back, reach the toes back, reach the tailbone back, reach the sternum forward. And you'll lift as high as you wish to, drawing your chin slightly towards your chest, pulling your hands back, hugging your elbows towards each other, reaching back through the toes, and lifting as high as you wish to. And then you'll exhale and lower all the way down. Hooray, happy days. From here, walk the toes under. So tucking the toes, push down through the hands and knees, and come either up through tabletop, or if you're feeling vigorous, push straight up to plank. And then once you're in tabletop or plank, you'll bend the knees if you're in plank and make your way to downward facing dog. And then you'll just pause and you'll breathe and you'll say, hello, body, how are you doing today? What are your needs? How can I help you serve or meet them? And one of the needs that we often have is to keep lifting up through our inner armpits, pushing down through the L shape of our hands and lifting our outer hips higher. Awesome sauce. All right, let's go ahead and shift, or rather walk your feet so they're at least hip distance or outer hip distance apart. Swing both heels over to the right. Shift your weight into your right hand. And notice how that feels for you. For me, it feels like I need to have a longer down dog. So I'm going to come back to down dog. And you'll notice for you if you need a longer down dog. And if so, you'll just walk your hands a little bit further forward. And then you'll swim your heels to the right, shift your weight forward, and allow your left arm to trip up towards the sky. So now we're in side plank. And you'll come back to a regular plank. You'll reach back through your heels, reach forward through your hands, keeping the toes tucked under, and come into an upward facing dog. Hooray. Hug the outer shin bones in, hug the belly into the spine, lift back up into plank, and then lift back into down dog. And now the other side. So your heels will swim over to the left. The weight will push into the left hand. The right arm will peel up. And suddenly we're in a side plank, Vakshisthasana. And then you'll lower the right hand down, come back into plank, hug the outer shin bones in, reach the hips towards the heels of the hands, the heels reach back, the heart comes through the gates of your arms, and suddenly you're in upward facing dog. Nice job. Push down through the feet, hug the outer shin bones in, hug the belly, and move back to plank. And then exhale back to downward facing dog. And you'll just take a moment to pause and breathe there and say, hello, body, how are you doing? What are your needs and how can I help you meet them? Paying attention back to the breath and staying very connected and rooted with your breath. Awesome sauce. Go ahead and lower your knees to the mat for a moment. And you'll sit back on, or rather sit into child's pose. So tops of the feet come to the floor, forehead comes to the mat, and arms might swim back behind you. And you might stay here just with the arms alongside the torso. You might interlace the hands at the low back and draw the shoulder blades onto your back body, and then reach the hands away from your head. And you can feel free to stay there. You can feel free to reach the wrists up towards the sky, but you're pausing and you're breathing and you're noticing what you notice. With the hands extended up towards the sky, start to bring them back towards your bum and release them down to the floor. From here, I'd like you to start to reach or curl your arms forward. And then you'll just lift the torso up enough to find a little bit more stretch and length in your side body. Awesome sauce. Okay, let's go ahead and come up and we'll make our way back to downward facing dog. But we're going to add on or attempt to link all those movements we just did. So we'll see how that goes. You just stay with you, paying attention to your own needs, and we'll see what happens. So first, coming into tabletop if you're not already, and make sure the wrists are parallel to the top of your space and make your way back to downward facing dog. Making sure it's a long enough down dog for you and your armpits are lifting up. Great. Go ahead and inhale. Come forward into plank. As you exhale, left knee comes to left elbow, left foot steps outside of your left hand. Pause there for a moment. Inhale, reach your heart and sternum forward, and then exhale, start to twist to the left, lifting up through your left arm. Push down into your front foot, push down into the back foot, draw the belly in a little bit more, and then you'll swim your left arm back. You'll reach your right arm forward, and we're coming into a revolved high crescent lunge. Next in breath, your left arm swims forward, it joins the right, and both arms reach up and overhead for high crescent lunge. And as you exhale, we're going to take a warrior two, but you'll find that this is a weird one because your right foot just spins to the floor in order to have that left knee not so far out to the left. From there, push down through both feet, reach out through both arms, lift up through the crown, drop down through the tail. And on your next in-breath, it feels like your right hip is coming towards the upper right corner of your mat. Reaching forward through the left hand, left fingers can come to the inside edge of your left foot, or they can come to the block or the shin bone. Now reach up through your right arm, rotate your gaze towards the right, and then you'll reach the right arm back so it's parallel to the floor. From there, swim it along the horizon until it's above your ears and find that nice side body stretch. And then you'll reach the right arm back. Next in breath, bend your front knee, come up for warrior two. So it's slightly different. Pelvis might be more on a diagonal, directly out to the side. And then you'll exhale, cartwheel both hands down to the floor. Come to that low lunge. Inhale, gaze forward. And exhale, step your left foot back to meet your right. Now you'll pull your hips towards the heels of your hands, reach back through your heels, reach up through the crown, upward facing dog. And then exhale, engage the belly, drawing it in, coming back to plank. Bend the knees and shift your tuchus up and back. Downward facing dog, hooray, happy days, armpits lift, index fingers and thumbs push down and forward. Next in breath, come forward into plank pose, Falanasana, lift up through the armpits. As you exhale, right knee to right tricep, plant that right foot outside of your right hand. And then as you're ready, inhale, crown forward, tailbone back, tushy engages as you start to rotate towards the right. Then you'll pause, pushing into that front foot, push down into that back foot, lift through that back inner thigh, and then your right arm swims back, your left arm swims forward. You're in a revolved high crescent lunge. Pause, next in breath, right arm swims forward, it joins the left, and both arms reach up and overhead. And then as you exhale, we'll make our way into warrior two. So this is a weird transition. We're still wide, so our feet are wider right to left than they ordinarily would be. But as you push down into the front foot, straight through the front leg, reach back through both arms or out through both arms, you'll find that having that wider distance allows you to more easily hinge at the hips and come into triangle pose. And so you'll just pause and you'll breathe. And then you'll lower your left arm alongside your left hip. Push out through both feet as you sweep the left arm alongside your ears. Find that long side body stretch, maybe gaze underneath the top armpit. And then swim the arm back. Inhale, look down, bend the front knee, come to Virma 2, warrior 2. And then exhale, cartwheel the hands down to the floor, low lunge. Pause here. Inhale, gaze forward. Exhale, right foot joins the left. Hug the heels of the hands back. Pull the heart through the gates of the arms. Hug the outer shin bones and lengthen the tailbone back. Lift up through the inner thighs, up dog. And then exhale, push down, gather everything in for plank. Nice job. Lower your knees to the mat. And press back to child's pose. And you'll just pause and you'll breathe. And that was a lot. And you'll pause and you'll breathe. We've got one more breath cycle here, paying attention to the fact that sometimes we need a bit of challenge and sometimes we need a bit of reprieve. Neither is better or worse. They all just require different sets of understanding. Okay. If your hands are forward, start to walk them back. If they swim back, start to walk them forward. Plant your hands alongside your knees and then start to roll your spine up to vertical. Great. When you've come to vertical, I encourage you to sit on your blanket. You might not need to, but I would encourage you to sit on your blanket. And then you'll bring both of your feet in front of you. And we've got options here. So the first one is to just sit on your blanket, and you might need to fold it up again, depending upon how much mobility you have, and depending upon how rounded your low back is. If your low back feels a little slumpy, elevate your pelvis on a blanket. And then you can bring your hands behind you and cross your left ankle over the top of your right thigh, and you'll actively flex through that foot. And then you can push back through your hands and reach your sternum, your chest, your boobies towards your left shin. And you might stay there. You might walk your right foot back and start to push down, and you'll find more sensation happening on your left hip. You might also find that you'll just lower the right shin bone to the floor and stack both shins on top of each other for Admi. Now, if you're taking Agni, we want to make sure ankles and knees are in alignment. And you also want to feel like your toes or your feet, your heels are almost like dumbbell ears that are outside of your thigh bones. And you can just choose to stay there, pushing the balls of your feet out into your hands. So the whole foot is active, and then you can hinge at your hips and find a nice fun stretch happening on the outer left hip. And if you're in the more upright version, you can continue to walk your butt towards that right foot. And again, more is not better. You're just making sure heart stays open if you're here and breathing in your left hip and seeing how that's all going. And you've got about 2 more breath cycles wherever you're at. And then you'll start to bring yourself out of it. And we'll try the other side. So this time the right ankle will cross over the left thigh. You might stay in the upright position, pushing your bum closer to your foot and drawing the shoulder blades onto the back. You might choose to lower the left shin bone and take Agni Stambhasana. And again, making sure that the right ankle crosses over the left thigh, or left ankle is outside of the right thigh. And you're just pausing and breathing. And you might notice that one side feels different from the other. For instance, today, Agni does not seem like a good idea on my other side, so I'm not going to do it. And you might find similarly that the first side you didn't want to do, and on this side feels accessible. It's all totally good. You just pay attention to what your body body's meeting moment by moment, breath by breath, shape by shape. Okay, we've got 2 more breath cycles wherever the heck you happen to be. And then very gently, you'll walk yourself out of the shape. We'll meet in Baddha Konasana just briefly, like literally for half a second. So the soles of the feet will come together, the hands will come to the tops of the ankles, and you just proudly pull your heart forward, knowing that whatever you need is okay. We do not need to be impervious to pain or completely an island in and of ourselves. Every human being needs another human being, even if they don't think that they do. So we're just pausing and we're breathing, noticing that it's completely human to have whatever needs, wants, cravings, desires that we have. All right, gently come out of that. Hands come to the outer edges of your thighs. Close your knees together like a book. Okay, and then you'll start to make your way onto your back. And when you make your way onto your back, I do encourage you to take the opportunity to start to cover the body. So if you get cold in Shavasana, socks are a great thing, sweater is a great thing. And you'll just make your way onto your back. And the first thing that you'll do is just lie flat and see how that feels. And by lie flat, I mean just as long as your spine is flat, your knees can be bent or your knees can be straight. And you're just observing and pausing and breathing. Noticing what's happening in your shoulders and your neck. Making sure the chin isn't jutting up to the sky or isn't sinking down to your throat, but is in line, parallel to your sternum. Great. And then from here, if the legs are straight, go ahead and bend the knees. And then extend your left leg long against the floor. And I want you to flex through the left leg a lot, like you're standing on the left foot. And you're going to push down to the left heel, push down to the back of the left hamstring. Like it feels kind of strange and wonky to do that, but see if you can activate the muscles on the left leg and push it down. And then you're going to engage the core to draw the right leg towards your chest. Hands will interlace behind the back of your right thigh. And then you can start to flex through the right foot. So you're pushing down into the left foot as much as you're kicking up through the right. And you might choose to hang out here. You might reach the arms up towards the sky like happy little zombies, and then reach them up and overhead. And depending upon space, your elbows might be straight and the backs of the hands on the floor, or you might be hugging the outer elbows. But whatever you're doing, you're reaching through both the legs actively. You're lifting the spine away from, or rather, the ribs away from the waist, and maybe readjusting your head so the neck feels long and neutral. And you're pausing and you're breathing and you're pushing down through the left leg, reaching up through the right. And then very gently hugging that right knee into the chest as you push out through the left big toe mound. Hands now come to the front of your right shin, back of your right thigh. And see if you can find a little bit extra space happening on the front of the left thigh, left hip flexor as you push down into the left foot. You might choose to open the right knee out just a little bit so it's outside of your right armpit, but still hugging it in as you're stretching that line of fascia. And then very gently, right foot comes to the floor, drag your left foot into the right, and just observe and notice if anything feels different between the sides. And then we'll go ahead and switch sides. So extend your right leg long beneath you. Activate that leg so you're flexing through the toes, you're pushing through the heels, you're pushing through the back of the thigh, the buttocks, the leg is really engaged on the right side. And then with that engagement, scoop the belly and draw the left thigh towards your chest. Hands come to the back of your left thigh and start to kick your left leg so it's perpendicular to the body, aka up towards the sky. And again, pushing down through right foot, reaching up through left, might stay there or reach the arms up to the sky, parallel to your left leg, happy little zombies. And then maybe reach the arms up and over your head, grabbing perhaps opposite elbow if the elbows were bent, or if the arms are straight, backs of hands come to the floor. And you're lengthening the body by reaching out through the limbs. So the arms are reaching one direction, the feet are each reaching separate directions. The belly's drawing in, and you're noticing that activation. And on your next exhale, start to draw the left knee into the chest using just the core. Hands come to the top of the left shin or back of the left thigh, whatever feels best to you. And maybe you open that left knee outside of the left rib cage. That's like angling more towards your left armpit. And you're pausing and you're breathing. Still staying active through that right leg. Awesome sauce. And then gently release the left foot to the floor. Draw the right foot to meet its mate. And then you'll pause here. And we're gonna take your hands to the tops of your hip creases, or you're gonna take your hands to the tops of your hip creases, and you just lightly push the thighs away as you lengthen the crown away, and just find a little bit of length in your hips. And then if you'd like, you can swoop the belly a little bit more as you draw the knees into the chest. And you relax here in Uppanasana, checking in again with the shoulders on the head, making sure that's all copacetic. You might choose to stay here or bring your hands to the inside edges of your thighs, grab the outside edges of your feet, draw the soles of your feet together and start to wing your knees out to the side. So the soles of the feet press in. The heels are drawing towards your pubic bone perineum, maybe even towards your navel, depending on how much mobility you have in your hips. And the knees are opening out right to left. And if this is working for you, by all means, stay here in the Supta Baddha Konasana variation. Otherwise, you might just grab the corresponding foot. So right hand grabs right foot, left hand grabs left foot, and let the knees reach towards the outside edges of your torso as both feet reach up towards the sky for half, or rather full Happy Baby Ananda Balasana. And you're just pausing and you're breathing, and you're pausing and you're breathing. Awesome sauce. And then very gently, you might return back to Supta Baddha Konasana or back to Uppanasana when you're leaving pose. And then gently from there, the feet will come back to the floor. Widen the feet outside of your hips. Let your knees knock in. Arms up to the sky like zombies. The right elbow crosses behind the left. Then you just give yourself a hug. And then you'll just let the elbows rest on the chest. And you'll take about 3 to 5 breaths here, letting the weight of the arms collapse into one another and letting the weight of the arms collapse into the chest, letting the weight of the legs collapse in towards each other. And really, it should be a supported position where there's not too much efforting really needing to happen in the physical body. It's just the architecture of the body supporting this shape. And on your next in-breath, you'll reach the arms back up to the sky, happy little zombies. And then this time the left elbow comes behind, the right elbow on top. Let the elbows rest on the chest. And you take about 3 to 5 breaths here. And as you're checking in here, I'd like you to pay attention to what it feels like your body is needing. If it feels like you need some slow windshield wipers of the hips, if it feels like a little inversion, meaning halasana, legs over your face, feels like that would be good, or if it feels like you'd like to do a supported bridge or legs up the wall, by all means, take a moment to really notice what you are needing, what your physical body is needing at this moment in time. And to the best of your ability, attempt to meet those needs. For me, my body's enjoying constructive rest, so I'm going to stay here for a few more moments. But you do what feels best for you. I can't speak for you, but I do know for me that a lot of my dis-ease, uncomfortable feelings that I experience, in part are really shaped by this sense of guilt or shame or worry about what it is that I need. And the irony is that every one of us has the same sets of needs. That's probably why Marshall Rosenberg called them universal needs. The strategies that we use to meet those needs, of course, varies, but we don't necessarily need to feel or give into the habit of feeling guilty or shame or fearful about our own needs because, well, every other person you'll ever meet probably has the same exact ones, and they might just go about meeting them in different ways. But that doesn't mean that they don't have that same need that you do, same longing, same desire. at least in some form. All right, if you're still moving around, start to wrap it up. And we'll start to make our way to our final resting pose. So, maybe you go to Shavasana, maybe you go to Supta Padangusthasana, whatever you happen to do, and do encourage you to take the opportunity to really set yourself up well. So you might push into the back of the head to lift the shoulders and then draw more of the shoulder blades onto the back and onto the floor. And then you might lift your head to reposition it. You might push down through the feet to lift the hips just a bit so that they feel even on the floor. And you'll take the first few breaths that you find yourself in your final resting shape to just let go to the best of your ability of any engagement of the muscular body, any holding around this bony skeletal body. And so as the bones settle into the floor, as the muscles soften around the bones, become more aware of the breath. And as we settle into our Shavasana for today, the invitation is to work with what's called a 1-2 breath, meaning your inhalation might be 4 counts, and then your exhalation would be 8. Or if the inhalation is 5 counts, the exhalation would be 10. So whatever your inhale is, your exhale is twice as long. 1-2 breath. And as you continue to work with the breath, the first thing that you always want to do is remain a sense of softness, ease around it all. If elongating the breath means you become tense in the throat, or the subsequent inhalation becomes somehow rushed or challenging, then back off. The breath is our greatest teacher because it teaches us in many ways that in order to attain what we're aspiring to attain, or to meet some of our needs, we do have to soften a bit. We do have to yield and surrender to the natural flow of things as they unfold at their own pace and rhythm and timing. So as you continue to settle here for the last few moments, I invite you to just breathe as effortlessly as possible, still working with this 1-2 breath if that feels appropriate for you at this moment in time, and if not, just let that go. Gently release the breath and just take about 3 natural breaths. As your breath adjusts to a more involuntary rhythm, just notice what you notice. If there's any part of you that longs to linger here, by all means, please do so. You know, as long as you like. When you are ready to move forward with your day, you'll allow slow movement to re-enter back into the fingers, maybe a gentle rocking of your head right to left. You might even find yourself wiggling into the toes. And you're again just paying attention to what the body feels like it needs at this moment in time as you stretch and wiggle and yawn and reawaken. Gently start to make your way over to your right side. And you'll just pause there for a brief moment. Roll your chest more towards the floor. Press into your top hand. Just slide your bottom hand back and bring yourself to a tall, comfortable seat. I encourage you to elevate your bum on a block or a blanket. And you'll just take a moment to sit. Sitting tall and sitting well. We'll end our practice with 3 rounds of Nadi Shodhana. So your left hand will take Vishnu Mudra. You'll fold your left thumb over your index finger and reach out through the other 3 fingers and place that on your left thigh. The right hand will assume the same thing slightly. You'll draw the index finger and middle finger in towards the base of your thumb. Your right pinky finger and ring finger will come to your left nostril. The right thumb will come to the right nostril. You'll gently lift up through the spine as you hug your elbow in, and then exhale all the breath from your mouth. Close your right nostril and inhale through your left. Top of your breath in, close the left nostril, exhale through the right. When you need to, draw the breath in through the right. Top of the inhale, close the right, exhale through the left. 2 more on your own. Doing your best to let the breath just pass through the nostrils so you're not constricting the back of your throat. Breath is just happening through the nostrils. And the breath passes out of the left nostril, lower the right hand. And then just take 3 natural breaths here. Go ahead and bring the hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra. Press the palms into each other. Receive the weight of your thumbs into your sternum and lift your heart towards your hands. Allow your chin to soften a bit towards the chest. And we'll go ahead and complete our practice by drawing our thumbs to our third eye and repeating, may our thoughts be clear. Draw your thumbs to your lips. May our words be kind. Draw your thumbs to your heart center. May our hearts be open. The light within me honors and salutes the light within you. Namaste. Thank you for joining me. You have a great rest of your day. And please let me know if you have any questions or comments. Thank you.